This is weird. It's like when I was a kid, I was so shy I could not speak, and here I am talking to you guys. I'm glad it's a small crowd. Just kidding, I wish there was more. But everyone's busy. Okay, so I loaded up all this stuff over the past 5 days. Didn't quite get a dry run through, so hopefully this goes perfectly. We'll see how it goes. So, it doesn't work. I should have tested it. Oh, hold on. So I am not a priest. I'm not a deacon, an exorcist, doctor, or therapist. I am, however, a follower of Jesus Christ and a very proud Catholic. I wasn't so much of a Catholic for almost 3 years. That was between 2016 and 2019. So, as it goes, I am also an educator of the mechanics of spiritual warfare through my past experiences of participating in the occult with respect to the study of that world and utilizing my own ongoing studies of Catholicism. Just a little bit about myself. I was born in Central California, lived in Germany for a couple of years, Fort Hood, Texas after that. Did a 1.5-year stint in a place called Dugway Proving Grounds, about 80 miles west of here. I just found out what that place was. I don't forget, when I entered the clinical laboratory world. That place is known as a level 4 biohazard laboratory where they have to be in spacesuits and negative pressure rooms. They deal with anthrax and Ebola viruses and so forth. So I don't know what I breathed when I was living there. Also to ufologists, it's known as the new Area 51. It's interesting. Then after that, lived in Fort Ord in Central California where I was born and raised. Went to college in Southern California where I pursued electrical engineering technology, microbiology, and music. Truthfully, I wanted to be a rock star after college, but didn't work out because I wanted a family, but I can't support, family on music. So I went the engineering route. So anyways, I've been here since after college in Utah, all right? So that's a little bit about me. So the premise of this lecture is to educate the parishioners of the basic mechanics of spiritual warfare, how to recognize when you are in the presence of occult tools or conversations of an occultist, which should be your cue to leave that environment. I was an idiot. I got into that world and I seen all the glimmery stuff, and the talk that they gave me, the salespeople at the metaphysical stores, I bought into it. So, number 3, how not to be deceived by occult tools, beliefs, and practices, which has been an increase normalized in society to be another form of worship other than God, our Creator. This was me back from 2016 to 2019, messing with the occult. I would just like to publicly announce that I have no idea what I'm doing. It just sounded interesting, the way they talked to me about transcendental meditation, having a higher perspective in life and also your brain. This was my guardian angel while I was going through spiritual warfare. It says my guardian angel be like, I'm going to lose my job and end up in hell. And I'm pretty sure he or she was doing that. So after I finished up spiritual warfare round 2 in 2019, this is what I wanted to do. It says, one day you will tell the story of how you've overcome what you're going through now, and it will become part of someone else's survival guide. Because I see so many people and friends, family, also that participate in the occult. It's their free will. They just have to figure it out who they want to follow. Okay? My sister was in it. I got her out of it. Okay, I do have to give forwarding credentials. Father Chad Rippinger, he's an exorcist. Father Vincent Lampert, also, I think he's from the Midwest. Father Carlos Martins, I think he's from the South. Father Gabriel Amorth, bless his soul, he was the former chief exorcist of the Vatican. He passed away in 2016. Robert Abel is a Catholic author. Charles D. Fron is another Catholic author where I've read many of their books. Okay. And then our very own Father Rodel Ignacio, who is a priest at Blessed Sacrament in Sandy, Utah. Okay. He was very instrumental to me as far as like helping me with the bout of spiritual warfare. He actually came to my house, him and an assistant, spent 3 hours doing a minor exorcism on my house and on myself. So here's a disclaimer. You may not make sense of it yet, but I'll try to explain. If you have any mental issues and are receiving therapy either through medication or frequenting a therapist, please seek professional guidance if you may question changing any part of your regimented therapy programs. Like, what are you talking about? Well, I've helped about 25, 30 people get out of the occult since 2019, okay? This was actually my first organized audience, so thank you for coming. But after a couple of years, I wondered, of all those people, and here was the one thing that was in common amongst all those people, they all had depression and anxiety. Okay, I thought about that before 2016. I even asked my doctor, why do so many people in this world have depression and anxiety? Over the years, I've never heard of it, but it's just so prevalent nowadays, you know? Those people, I asked them a little bit later, how's your depression and anxiety? And a few of them said, I'm off the depression and anxiety medication. I'm like, what? And he says, by you helping me and understand spiritual warfare, and I fought and I won, I knew where it was coming from. It was coming from demons. And so they stopped taking it. And for those people, they stopped taking it for about a year. You think about it, depression and anxiety. When the devil oppresses you in your life, he's going to hit roughly five areas in your life. Your finances, the bonds with your loved ones, your health, which includes your mental and physical aspects, okay? And that's going to depress you. It did for me because those 4 or 5 I mentioned, I missed one, but those 4 or 5, it was hitting me all at once. But that was because also her friends, my ex, and that's how that started, her friends were dark practicing witches. They didn't like me because they didn't like the crucifix that I was wearing. And they were on to me. And they hit me about January of 2019, all at the same time. That sucked. That sucked to the point where I almost committed suicide. I never thought of committing suicide. I sat there and I said, why do you want to commit suicide? There is no reason. But I tell you what, the people that I've helped that wanted to commit suicide, they had no idea either. It's just thoughts into their heads. Commit suicide, end your life now. I'm also a certified mental health first aid responder for the County of Davis, so I know what it's like to see people down in the dumps and sad and despair. It sucks. You know, I have compassion for people with mental health. Okay, so that's my disclaimer. You know, see your doctors, keep up with them, do the things they told you to do. Okay, why am I speaking about spiritual warfare? Because Father Vidal and Father Rodel and me, after I was nearing my heightened bout with spiritual warfare around in early 2019, I returned and spoke to my parish priest, Father Vidal and Father Rodel, who previously helped me understand, fight, and instill peace back into my life in spiritual warfare. Truthfully, we are in spiritual warfare every day, and that's just the basics of the devil getting you to sin. I expressed an opinion to them in which I said spiritual warfare needs to be taught outside of Mass in a classroom setting. I find it that a lot of parishioners do not understand it. They need to be equipped with putting on the armor of God. They need to understand what the enemy looks like and how it behaves, its tools that it uses so that they can recognize when they come in the presence of the demonic. They both looked at me, nodded their heads, and said, "Yes, you're right, Fred." and here I am today speaking to you on this topic. What I'm about to present to you are my experiences of how I inadvertently participated in the occult for almost 3 years without even realizing that. You're looking at a Catholic who went to church every Sunday since I was young. Excuse me. And I still got deceived. I must have not understood parts of Ephesians and Leviticus. It tells you not to do these things, not to practice and participate in it. You know, I forgot. And so, anyways, I present to you what I've learned so that you can learn and be educated from my experiences and information that I derive from Catholic sources of how to navigate through life, your spiritual life with Christ, and be able to discern what are the deceptions of Satan and his minions. Basically, how Satan works in the 21st century to deceive you and how he always has throughout the ages, to try to entice you to worship him, oftentimes, once again, not even realizing you're doing it. So let me kind of tell you how I kind of went about this presentation. I was thinking in the beginning, like, how do I want to present it? What do I want to include in it? Well, my spiritual warfare in the occult started in 2016. Let's take it back to 2015. If I could tell myself, you know, you're not supposed to do this, where can I find somewhere where it says not to practice divination or the occult or New Age? Is it in the, I don't know, U.S. Constitution or the Bible? Well, I found it in the Bible, again, late in the game. And also, when you go out of this world, this classroom, what are those occultic tools? Because the things I saw and was grabbing and buying, and I spent hundreds of dollars on this stuff. I didn't know. Crystals, for example. We'll get into that in a bit. So anyways, as it says, many self-proclaimed Catholics do not follow nor study their faith as thoroughly and intently as they should, which includes the basics of reading scripture, praying the rosary, reading and becoming familiar with the Catechism of the Catholic Church to understand doctrine and to participate in the sacraments. This has caused many to be uneducated and, in a sense, not understand the mechanics of spiritual warfare and thus find themselves entering the unfamiliar world of the umbrella known as New Age. Okay, so here we go. In our spiritual life, we are very aware of both prayer life and obligatory Sunday and holy days by participating in the Mass. This, in basic terms, is worshiping and thanking our Creator and Jesus Christ, who has offered us salvation into the next life known as heaven. We've known this from day one when we were baptized, received our first communion, our confirmation, confirming that we have chosen to follow Christ and hopefully continue to focus on Him without distractions. But I'll tell you right now, there will be distractions as you go down the narrow path. Happened to me. What I have realized later in life is that there is a second part to our spiritual life, and that is spiritual warfare. We are in war with Satan and his minions. Actually, he is in war with us to try to break us down in basic terms, to tempt us to sin, no matter how little or big that sin is. So it is both the belief and worship of God by keeping our focus on Him and resisting the temptations of the devil in our everyday lives through spiritual warfare. That was an epiphany to me. Every day I'm thinking about how am I going to fight against him of all the temptations. There's a lot of temptations. I didn't read a bunch of books or watched a lot of YouTube videos in order to speak about this. I experienced it all by what I call, half jokingly, but still with great fervor, walking into the Harry Potter world. I can laugh about it now, because they can't touch me. Those things can't touch me. I'm trying to stay in the state of grace. That's the key, okay? I'm speaking about this because of what I went through, which was not a fun ride, but it's prudent to know how not to be deceived by today's fads of demonic, which has been normalized in today's world. Because if you go chasing the devil, Satan often masquerades as the angel of light, because he used to be an angel. He was God's highest ranking angel. So anyways, your world will fall into chaos. Hopefully I don't think I could tell my own personal story, but I'm going to try to give you some examples here and there, okay? Because we got a lot of slides to get through. God has commanded us what to do and what not to do in regards to our spiritual life, our well-being, and our salvation. Salvation not only in the afterlife, but get this, okay? But also salvation and the feeling of peace in this life on earth as you are experiencing it right now with respect to your mental health and your outlook in life. The enemy, your adversary, the devil, doesn't want you to know the truth, God's truth and His commandments. It also does not want you to know the truth about its deceptions in hopes it can lure you in and lead you astray as you go walking inadvertently and blindly into the occult world without the education of what it is. If you don't become educated, you unknowingly walk into that world and start to turn your back on God, oftentimes not realizing it, which is dangerous in all facets. Being uneducated of recognizing who the devil is, like what the scripture says, the devil goes around like a roaring lion seeking to devour souls. If it wants you to lead astray from God, it also wants you to start worshiping Him, whether you may realize it or not. When walking into that world pursuing occult beliefs and practices, He also wants to cause chaos in your life. That affects family bonds, your health, like I mentioned before, physically and mentally, disrupting your finances, your career, and your sanity. I hit all 5 of those. I hit all 5 of those in 2019. I almost got fired from my job. I'm my company's first engineer for this company, which is a French company, and my boss has told me, you don't get your crap together, you're going to lose your job, our lead engineer. You know, that was devastating. Maybe I'll tell the story, but the 4 medical analyzers that were running like champs for a year, those things got possessed too. That's what was messing with me. It wanted to mess with my career and in turn get me fired and just like at the end commit suicide. Because at that time I was thinking of suicide. Okay, I think we went through this before. Yep. Okay, John 15, 1 through 8. We're going to get to the good stuff. Actually, this is the good stuff. I know it looks long, but bear with me, okay? I wanted to mention this. This was a couple of Sundays ago at Mass. This was the gospel. Jesus said to His disciples, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine grower. He takes away every branch in me that does not bear fruit, and every one that does, He prunes so that it bears more fruit. You are already pruned because of the word that I have spoken to you. Remain in me as I remain in you. Just as a branch cannot bear fruit of its own unless it remains on the vine, so neither can you unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever remains in me, and I in him, will bear much fruit, because without me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me will be thrown out like a branch and wither. People will gather them and throw them into the fire, and they will be burned. If you remain in me, and in my words remain in you, ask for whatever you want, and it will be done for you. But this is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit and become my disciples. That was me right there. I was getting thrown into fire. I was surrounded by a lot of practicing witches, and they were messing with me really bad. And as much, I can't blame it all on them because I did my part. I got into the occult, okay? But I do have to say this. If I tell stories of these people, I have to give them dignity. You have to give people their dignity, okay? It's weird. My ex-girlfriend, she was the one that I thought I was going to marry. I thought she was going to be the first one where I would enunciate the words, will you marry me? But they messed that up with all the spell casting, and that was confirmed by the Catholic Church too, when I told them my story. But for me to be able to forgive them, I asked God to please forgive them and show them true salvation. They are being deceived by Satan. You know? Father Lampard, an exorcist of 12 years, who knows very well that what evil looks like. It's all around us. It always has been and always will be until we leave this earth. Trusting, that is, that our destination is ultimately heaven. Father Lampard admits that he's seeing more of it these days, but not because there's more of it. The devil has not upped his game, but more people are willing to play it. Okay. Genesis, we're not going to read all of that, but I think we know what it is. Genesis 3, the Garden of Eden, when it says, when Christians refer to the fall, they're referring to the incident of Genesis chapter 3, where the serpent comes to the first man, Adam, and the first woman, Eve, and God has created, and he tempts them to rebel against God, the Creator. Adam and Eve fall into temptation and they sin. So that's a template I want you to remember what not to do, how they got duped, okay, into rebelling against God. So that's Eve. And so she says, but God said, if I eat it, I'll die. But the serpent says, independent fact checkers have proven this to be false. He basically didn't say so many words. He twisted his words to make it sound like it's okay to eat that apple. Okay? So when you talk to these people, if you inadvertently go to a flea market or some of these metaphysical stores, hey, stay away from those. And they start telling you about vibes, energy, positive energy, negative energy. Don't buy into what they're saying. Okay, they just want to make money. And, you know, I'm sure they don't follow Christianity. They would like to get you into the New Age world. Okay, Matthew. Not going to read all of this. I just wanted to put it up there. But Matthew 4, 1 through 11. The temptation of Christ is biblical narrative detailed in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. After being baptized by John the Baptist, Jesus was tempted by the devil after 40 days and nights of fasting in the Judean desert. At that time, Satan came to Jesus and tried to tempt him. We all know what happened. Jesus pretty much told him, no, I'm not going to follow you. I'm not going to bend my knee of the things you're promising me, which is all these kingdoms of the earth. No, you're the father of all lies. It ain't going to happen. And the devil went away. And then the angels ministered to him. This is how you do it, okay? This is how you stay away from the occult. Anybody know who Curious George is? What are you laughing at? I was just kidding. We're getting serious here. Curious George. George is getting a little too curious. I have to mention some of these things because this is my brother, Froylan, and my sister-in-law, Minda. My brother, he's legally blind, so I kind of like to tell him what's happening, you know, so just to help him out. So, Curious George says, don't be like Curious George, all right? What I'm about to reveal to you also, I warn you, do not allow yourself to be fascinated by any of it. That's how it pulls you in. Instead, be reminded that you are here to learn something, okay? Your curiosity can and may get the best of you. When you start seeking occult knowledge and practices, you are apt to become more fascinated by it. Your guard will be down. You'll tend to seek more. It's like a drug. It becomes an addiction. And you become more apt to seek more. It's like a drug. You seek more divination. Let me ask you this question. Who hasn't heard of the word divination? Raise their hand if you feel like it. Thank you. Okay. You're going to get educated. I didn't even know what the word divination was until 2019. It sounded like divine, so I thought it was God, earthly, heavenly things. But then when I read the context of scripture, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Then I had to read it again and understand it. So once again, don't be fascinated by it. When they say that they are Catholic but start talking about energy, zodiac signs, and Reiki, Anyone heard of Reiki? Okay, cool. This is going to be it's going to make my day. My ex-girlfriend, she was a Reiki master. One day, about a month into our relationship, we were in the hallway and she says, I'm a Reiki master. I never heard of it. I was thinking, like, saying to myself, I was just nodding my head, agreeing with her, and then I said, it sounds Japanese. It sounds like karate. She's a master, so she must be a black belt in karate. And, until I learned later what it was. Corinthians, you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons. I was doing that. I still believed in God and Jesus Christ when I walked into this world, but I stopped going to Mass. I stopped doing all these things that I'm supposed to be doing, receiving the Eucharist. Okay, that's in relation to, the one before it. This guy right here. Okay, I'm not going to read this, but this is basically Ephesians. Everyone know about Ephesians 6:10 to 13? I didn't. I had no idea. If you want to take a snapshot, if you guys feel like taking snapshots of these, feel free to. Just leave me out of the picture. I was just kidding. Tell me and I'll give you my best side. I was kidding. Okay, so there's this thing called the armor of God. Okay, check it out. It's Ephesians 6:10 through 13. Holy cow. I need a snack. Just kidding. Can you catch? Pass this around. Check out the wrapper, see, it's pretty cool. Remember, as we go through this lecture, and be reminded that God is here with you, handing you your armor, your spiritual warfare armor, so that you can recognize when the enemy is presenting itself to you in deceptive ways in the 21st century of its tools and practices that has been normalized and is practiced by a disconcerting amount of people. You become better educated on spiritual warfare to be able to resist the devil and its antics of deception when it tries to influence you to enter that world. Your mission is to stay on the narrow path and to turn away from occult practices as it presents itself. As with any warrior, you must also know what the enemy looks like, how they think, how they behave, what tools are, its weapons, in order to not fall into deceptions for them to try to weaken your spirit. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. And I thank Annie for setting up this mic with me. When I get tired, I don't sleep. I wake up about 2 or 3 times a night. And it's not because the demons are visiting me or anything like that. So I drink a lot of water and stuff. Man, I just revealed something I shouldn't have. Okay, here's this line that I've heard. I don't know where it came from. It's called, "What you seek seeks you. You seek the Lord, He will seek you. You seek witchcraft tools and such things called spirit guides." Anyone ever heard of spirit guides before? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. You have, both of you? Okay, thank you for volunteering and stuff like that. It's awesome. Which are demons in disguise. They will seek. They will seek you, okay? Why? Because if you do, gosh, I can't read this. Why? Because if you do, you have given them, the demons, permission to enter your life by opening up that portal, either by obtaining the physical tools of the occult, its belief system, other deities, which are gods and goddesses, outside of Christianity, Catholicism, and other than God, our Creator. I just came across this statistic or this data last week. It's from a Catholic source. They said, now in relation to depression and anxiety, of all the other denominations out there, the ones who have the least depression and anxiety are the Catholics. All right? So stick with your Catholic faith. I always said that after I finished spiritual warfare, me and my ex-girlfriend broke up in 2018, I always said, if she gets out of it, the one church that's going to save her and keep her protected is the Catholic Church. Unfortunately, she didn't go that route. Unfortunately, most of the time that I've seen when one learns about spiritual warfare is after the fact that they have messed with the occult practices for a period of time, the chaos and despair ensues, and they're now seeking help from the Catholic Church to battle in order to get rid of the products and effects of witchcraft, New Age, which has been set in their life. The very first person that I helped, I was standing in the foyer, it's like a weekday or something, and I had an appointment. It was a follow-up through the spiritual warfare that I was going through at the time. I seen this lady there. She didn't look like a regular parishioner, so I started talking to her, and she says, yeah, I have an appointment too. And I said, oh, okay. And she said, well, I'm here for spiritual warfare. And I'm like, all right. Okay, that's good, but you're not from this church. She goes, no, I'm from the LDS church. I've talked to my church, and they have no idea what Reiki is. They have no idea how to talk about this. They don't know how to help me. I came to your church because of what your church is known for. I said, what's that? She said, exorcisms, liberation. That's what I'm here for. I'm getting pestered physically at night. Now, I'll tell that story a little bit later. Vocabulary and lingo. It's going to be fun. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this lingo is, especially for example, your parents or anyone, and then thinking about your family. Okay, if you hear this stuff, this lingo, or you see these tools that I'll present later, it's kind of a sign that they are into the occult. So when they start talking stuff like this, first of all, spiritual warfare, what is it? In layman's terms or plain English, it is the ongoing battle within us to resist the devil's temptations to sin. The act of sinning is the rebellion of God and his commandments. Okay? What is the definition of the word occult? Matters regarding as involving the action or influence of supernatural or supernormal powers or some secret knowledge of them. It is what I call borrowed power from Satan, that he either allows you to have or he assists you in your spells and psychic abilities that you seek to obtain. So, I'm not going to teach you guys how to do spells. I'm going to hold back on that very much. But I'll tell you what, when you do a spell, which I've done before more than a few times, you set the intention. But it's actually demons that execute those spells to the end. What is the definition of the word divination? No, it's not divine like I was saying before. That's totally something different. It is the art or act of foretelling future events or revealing occult knowledge by means of supernatural agency. I'm not going to read Deuteronomy because guess what? It's right there. Okay, if you want to snap a picture of it, I don't recall reading that in my lifetime as a Catholic up until 2019, But I will read this one down here. It says, Leviticus 19:13. Do not turn to mediums or wizards. Do not seek them out, or to be defiled being unclean by them. For I am the Lord your God. Okay. Positive, negative energy. You guys hear that in conversations with your friends? Yeah. I can't believe I used to talk that lingo. Man, what an idiot I was. I came across back Facebook memories, and I would type that, oh, today's going to be, the positive energy is coming in today. It's like, what an idiot. Okay, so energy according to New Age. So I'm going to combine these two, positive and negative energy in the universe, according to New Age beliefs and practices. You get a little different definition, whatever New Age person you talk to when they're talking about that world. But basically, when they start talking about positive and negative energy, they're taking it from the universe. They think that it's just up there and you can grab, well, no one's going to want to grab negative energy unless you take that negative energy as a spellcaster and send that magical energy to someone you don't like. Or you take positive energy and you bring it into your life because you want to be positive all the time. They think everything is interconnected and it's all about positive energy. Vibe, that's just basically utilizing the perception of negative or positive energy. I don't use those words anymore, it's just ridiculous. And then there's something called low vibrational energy and high vibrational energy. Anyone ever seen this picture before with the 7 chakras? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is a little bit, they utilize this in yoga and Reiki. Okay, so there's 7 points within the body. You got your root chakra, blah, 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 your throat chakra, and your crown chakra. And right in the middle, that one right there, is called the pituitary gland. They believe that if they activate that, they will have psychic abilities. Okay. I actually opened up my third eye in 2019, right before, was around the time I seen Father Rodell. It was scary because all this time I was seeing these psychics and mediums and tarot card readers to know the future. Now I could see it. It happened about 5 times within a month. Doesn't matter if I'm driving or whatever, I can't control it. I see the event happening. Boom, a couple of days later, or even within a couple hours, it happens. So I knelt down in prayer, and I asked God, I told him, if this is not from you, please take it away from me. Took it away. You just got to ask and you got to pray. Okay. It was funny too. It's like my ex, she's part of this big story too. Don't worry, I'm over her. Okay, we're good. I don't talk to her anymore. I blocked her and everything. It's funny. She's laying on the couch. Everyone know what a crystal is? Okay. Man, if I was passing out candy, you guys would be like having a bucket full of candy. That's awesome. But thank you for being, hey, I walked your world. Okay, it sounds like it, but it's cool. So anyway, she's on the couch and she got her box of crystals and she grabbed one in a particular color which meant something. She put it on her stomach. And I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, I got a stomach ache. And I asked her, I'm like, and you're using a rock to solve it? I'm like, take some Pepto-Bismol, you know? But then she kind of explained it. And then she took that rock and she put it in my hand. She goes, do you feel it? I'm like, what am I supposed to feel? And she goes, it's vibrating. And I put it back in her hand. She goes, yep, it's vibrating. And then she put it back in mine. I'm like, I don't know, it's a rock to me. Just gave it back to her. Okay. Spiritual, the 2 sides of spirituality, depending on who you talk to. So there's the guy, he's saying, I'm spiritual, but she says, demons are spirits too, be more specific. Remember when I was on a date not too long ago, took this gal out, and I asked her, do you have a belief system? And by that time, after exiting that world, I had a boundary. The boundary is I'm never going to date another hippie type of gal, one that's new age, a free thinker. She's going to be Christian. Like I said when I was a kid, I cannot wait to marry a Catholic gal. So anyways, I asked her, what's your belief system? And she said, I'm spiritual. And I'm like, heck yeah, she's Christian. Until she started talking about crystals, vibes, energy, stuff like that. I'm like, I can't wait to take you home and just drop you off. You know? But it didn't work out because she was my customer. So I see her every once in a while. She's a very nice gal. Okay. My field study of the two popular ways people will fall for the deception of the New Age. This is what I've seen, okay? There's a lot there, but I'm not going to read all of it. A follower of Christ who prays for things but does not receive what they ask for in prayer, thus becoming frustrated, discouraged, and eventually losing their faith. I'm sure we've all been there before, okay? I'm going to tell you, and I've told the other people very kindly to you, God is not a vending machine. Just because you submit a prayer does not mean you're going to get what you want. Okay? He's going to be there like your own father. I mean, your own physical father or mother. You've gotten the yeses and the nos from them. There's a reason why, because they're trying to cultivate a very healthy, safe, protective environment for you. God the Father is pretty much the same way. He will say no or yes. But if he does give you what you ask for, you'll either get it exactly, you'll get it later, or he's going to give you something better. So be patient. Be patient with prayer. Okay? Let's see now. When one does not receive what they ask for, they seemingly lose faith, and somewhere down the road they discovered the occult, which tells them they can manifest things themselves without God or our Creator. Yet they just subconsciously planted themselves to be their own God, thereby already breaking the first commandment, "Thou shalt not worship any other strange gods, as I am God your Creator." Okay? You want to manifest things? You'll find it when practicing New Age, seeking psychics, mediums, practicing witchcraft, casting spells. For the devil lies there waiting for you to give you those things to you, while also, once again, unknowingly, you'll turn your back on God and distancing yourself from him. And when you do that, his graces, blessings, and protection will seemingly cease to exist. Usually those things that manifest become a curse, bad luck, or stop manifesting, but the chaos in your life begins. Number two, how they do it. Fall into the New Age stuff. People who are desperate situations in their lives to try to change unfortunate crises or events, which includes like finances, like, I don't know, they're broke. Finding love. Forcing love is what I'm talking about as far as like manipulation. What I'm talking about is, you've heard of love spells, right? Those are real. But there's a problem. That's not what it's really called. It's not love unless you allow that person to actually, with their free will, to love you. Okay? Because if you ask someone, or you cast a love spell, it's like Cinderella. There's a time limit to that. That carriage is going to turn into a pumpkin at midnight. Pretty soon, that person that you spell casted on wakes up, so to speak, and says, "Where the heck am I? What am I doing with you?" And then the arguments ensues and so forth. Never cast a spell, a love spell on anyone. I've never done it. Also, if you have health issues, healing of physical and mental impairments, okay? Also, as far as your career and job, you just lost your job, you need a job, let me cast a spell. Don't. The different modalities that are the deception of Satan. Anyone ever heard of the word modalities? All right. Modalities, the root word of that is mode. Mode means how one experiences things. Okay. So the following are basically the belief systems and so forth. Paganism. I had to group these together because the problem is these guys that are paganisms and follow polytheism and pantheism, there's really no hard definite definition. They kind of mesh together. So they are not dogmatic like the Catholic Church. Pantheism is the belief that everything in the universe is divine and interconnected, while paganism is a broad term that encompasses many different spiritual practices that are not part of the major world Christian religions. Paganism is a polytheistic, which is a worshiping more than one god or goddess, or pantheistic, nature-worshiping religion, where it is the belief that God consists within everything and everyone. For example, a tree is God, a mountain is God, the universe is God, all people are gods. People can make gods out of themselves, and that's breaking the first commandment. The New Age umbrella. Anybody know who that gal is? You do? Okay. She's from the Addams Family, huh? Yep, I've never seen it. I mean, as a kid, I've seen what it is. So, you got this thing called New Age. It's the umbrella which encompasses all these other modalities. Okay, I'm saying that we're modalities so it could, it could get registered in your head. So if you start hearing your kids or cousins, whatever, talking about this, they're probably practicing this stuff. Witchcraft. When you practice it, it's a rebellion against God. They will find another way by which they will connect with another realm to either manifest things in their lives or to be to the extent of getting rid of things, which includes events, physical world, or even loss of life. So this is more of Wicca. It also transforms or interconnects with witchcraft. They use just about the same tools. What they would have is something called the pentacle. They would have the wand, which is to direct their magical energy. They would have candles. They would have a chalice. They will have salt that before they do the spell, they put it around them to protect the spell and protect themselves. Okay. They have this thing right here, which is where they put, their ingredients to cast the spell. That's a piece of paper there. That's where they're going to write their intentions. The reason why I got in depth with that is because one day, one of my best friends at the lab I work at, she texted me and she says, I don't know what's going on here, but I was looking for my spices in my kitchen and I found them all in my daughter's bedroom. What is that? Well, what do you think? I'm like, go in her bedroom. Take pictures of her nightstand and anything you think is weird is out of place. She found the pentacle, she found the sword, she found the wand, she found the chalice. Okay. I says, your daughter's practicing witchcraft. She goes, really? With spices? I'm like, yeah, there's certain spells where you use herbs and spices. So she's doing it. It wasn't until about a week later, her daughter came out and says, I'm a practicing witch. Okay, and I warned my friend about that. I says, you have the authority over your kids. Actually, it's her stepdaughter. To tell her to get that crap out of the house, because that opens portals, brings in the demonic. It's not just going to be confined in her room. It's going to proliferate in the house and start messing with each family member. And then it's going to get them to argue with one another. And that family member is going to separate and be in their own rooms. Now they're not together supporting each other. They're arguing. Now the devil's going to pick them off one at a time. Poof, 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 poof. Satan hates family. He hates the family. Sorry, I dealt with a family before. I'll tell that story later. Okay, if you see this stuff, these are the different phases of the moon. The witches and the Wiccans, they use basically the moon phases to cast their spells. If you're in the waxing phase of the moons, they practice spells to bring things into their life. Money, happiness, practice a love spell, to bring into their life. When you get into the waning, that's things you want to get rid of your life. Unhappiness, depression, a better boss or something like that, or whatever. Okay. I noticed that when her friend started spell casting on me, this thing was happening. Anyways, this is a neutral one. It's a free-for-all. It's either this side or that side, but you're supposedly supposed to be good intentions, good spells. Wiccan. Wiccan is a neo-pagan, meaning new pagan, religion that was created by a British man named Gerald Gardner in the mid to late 1940s. Gardner popularized a new religion outside of Christianity. Gardner called Wicca the witch cult and witchcraft, and called its followers the Wicca. There are many different traditions of Wicca, yet many are common beliefs that are shared by all Wiccans, such as the afterlife, magic, and morality. Depending on which Wiccan you speak to, they generally believe in many gods, goddesses, and deities. Their basic ritual tools are the pentacle that I just showed you, the wand, which is used to direct magical energy, crystals, chalice, and the magical knife. Magic. In paganism, magic, spelled with a K, refers to the ritualization of one's spiritual intentions. It is often spelled with a K after the uses of Aleister Crowley. Anyone ever heard of Aleister Crowley? Okay, hold on. You ever heard of, who's heard of Ozzy Osbourne? Yes. Okay. Who's ever heard of the song Mr. Crowley? Oh. Yes. Wow.
Wait, really?
Yes. Read the lyrics. That came off of the album A Tribute to Randy Rhoads, which is his guitarist. Oh. Okay, that passed away. So, and anyways, that's what that album was about. But Mr. I don't know. I'm not going to say that. Okay, I'm always joking around. So we were going to these different apartments. There was a salesperson. We were sitting in her office, and as we were sitting there, there was all these charts on the table, and I was like, we were fascinated by it. I'm like, what are these? She goes, they're natal charts. And she kind of explained it. So guess what we did? Paid her some money to get our natal charts done. I have about 20 pages handwritten that she gave to me 2 weeks later. You know, it pretty much was accurate, especially the future. I will have to say that demons, they will tell the truth or reveal the truth, but they're also going to lie, their asses off. Okay. Am I allowed to say that, Annie? Here in, okay, I'm sorry, we're at we're on grounds. Okay, so, and that was bad, doing that. As I thought about it, I actually still have those natal charts somewhere. I need to throw that away. But the two things they said was, you're going to travel a ton. Well, it was a year later I joined this company, and I flew all over the place. Then the other one said, you're going to teach what you love. Could be this. I don't know. The evil eye. I actually took this picture 2 days ago when I was at an Indian restaurant. Okay? I met up with a friend. It's known as the evil eye. The evil eye is a supernatural belief in a curse brought about by malevolent glare, usually inspired by envy. It is also seen as an amulet to ward off evil, which is a lie. Because I bought one of those at the place not too far from here, and don't go there after you get out of here. It's a metaphysical store called Dancing Crane. Anyone ever heard of that? Good. Erase it from your brain. Okay.
They actually just drove past there today.
Yes, I frequented that place. I spent a lot of money there during my New Age years. But I bought one of those and I hung it above the front door. You know what that did? That brought, I know, right? That look on her face. That brought in more evil. I thought I was repelling evil. Oh, heck no. Yeah, all the divination tools that I had at the time when I finally figured it out, I sprinkled holy water in it, said a binding prayer on it, threw it out in the garbage outside. Spell casting. The spellcaster casts spells to harness the mystical forces of the supernatural world to invoke specific magical effects and phenomena. These effects are guided and governed by the meticulous structure formulae that produces a diverse array of expressions that can mystically affect their reality by channeling mystical energies, basically yielding the power of the demonic to shape their world according to their command. The spellcaster sets the intention. It is the demons that execute the spells to its end. You want to play with demons? Play with this. No, it's just a sarcasm. Don't. Okay? So I'm going to tell you this one story really quick. How did I get into the occult? It's January 2016. I was sitting at my favorite restaurant. Not going to name the restaurant because I'm on camera. I got many friends there that work there. They're awesome friends. But attached to it is a metaphysical bookstore. I was a happy guy that night. Finished up dinner. I said, you know what? I'm a little bored. Let me do something fun. Let me go talk to the tarot card reader, the medium in the next store. So I walked in there, and we talked for an hour, paid him money, and everything he said was pretty much dead on as far as my past, my present. He's telling me what my future is. Matter of fact, I even asked him what about this one gal that keeps chasing me? What's her deal? Are we going to happen? And I just got fascinated that when I walked out of that store, boom, boom, I picked up 2 decks of tarot cards. Then I started learning to read the spreads. More than half the time, it seemed like it was correct. The other times, it was just, I don't know what's going on. Although my girlfriend at the time, you didn't know if she was coming or going. She had severe depression and anxiety, so she had a lot going on in her life. And so it was kind of a hard relationship in the beginning. So I seen the psychic and the tarot card reader. Lent season just started. Every time I went to Mass on Sunday, I crossed that front door. I was pissed. I was agitated. I was angry. I had no idea why. That to a point, whenever Father Vidal did his homilies and he would walk around, I almost picked up the hymnal book, stood up, and I almost threw it at him. And I was going to tell him, you're a liar. Guess who else said that? Jesus Christ to the devil. Finally, after Easter Sunday, I just sat there while the rest of the parishioners left the church. And I said to myself, why are you angry? And I said the wrong thing. I said, you cannot come back to Mass, which was the wrong thing, until you figure out why you're mad and why you were angry. And for the next 3 years, I didn't go to Mass anymore. I believed in God and Jesus Christ, but it wasn't as much as it used to be. I started walking the occult world. Now, for those 3 years, I wondered, why was I mad during that time? Then I finally figured it out. I think you guys just figured it out. I went to go see a tarot card reader. I bought the tarot decks of tarot cards. Okay. I also picked up this book called The Secret. Everyone heard of that by Rhonda Byrne?
Wait.
The Secret, the law of attraction. It has nothing to do with physics. Nothing with... Yeah, okay. I picked up that book. Actually, I discovered it in my nightstand. It's because my sister gave that to me several years ago. I didn't know what it was. Until one day I opened it up and I'm like, trying to fall asleep. And I started reading it and I got fascinated. But it wasn't until years later, in 2019, that I figured out why I was that angry. Because when I did those things, I gave the demons permission to open up a portal and come into my life. Okay? I gave them authority. There is actually, how do you say? Well, anyways, this is one that blew my mind away. In order for demons to come into your life or not come into your life, you know that there's actually someone that allows that or doesn't allow it? It's God. God actually says whether the demons are going to come in your life or not. Try to explain it later because I need to move on, but it's about getting you to become more virtuous. He's going to give you some lessons so you can come to him and be more holier. I don't know if it makes sense, but I'll try to explain later. Energy work. Reiki, Reiki Master, Holy Fire, Reiki. A practitioner of Reiki is also known as an energy healer. As far as this goes, what I've seen is it's been really popular as far as the practice goes. Anyone need to take a break? Nope, okay. I don't know how long I'm allowed to do this, but this is my first run through. I'm gonna let,
We could also,
yes.
yeah, if you have more, we could also do a second night.
Okay,
We're open to that.
I am so open to that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, we could do that.
Okay,
Sure.
how about I get through the part of recognizing what the occult tools are, because the next section is about how to fight back.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Did you not, like, growing up as a Catholic, going to Mass on Sunday, did you never hear, like, getting into tarot cards or Ouija boards was, like, not okay?
One, I either was thinking of different things like meeting up with my friends or going to the playground. I tell you what it has done, going to Mass is different now. It feels like the priest is talking to me, not anyone else. The different parts of the Mass mean something to me now. But that's what that world did when I finally realized Jesus Christ was real. I mean, really real in God and the Holy Spirit. But back then, I don't recall them talking about it. Of the years that I've gone to Mass, I don't recall the priest or the bulletin or the announcer saying, we're going to have a spiritual warfare class. I'm going to teach you about spiritual warfare. I don't recall that. I never seen that.
I was just kind of curious because I guess, like,
Yeah.
my parents were pretty good with catechesis, but, like, on a typical, like, examination of conscience.
Yes.
With, like, under Thou shalt not have false gods, it, like, a couple of the questions it would ask you was, like, have you played in with, dabbled in the occult? And then it would, like, some of them would specify, like, Ouija boards or tarot cards and stuff like that. So growing up, like, I didn't know what they were, but I was like, if I would hear someone else talking about them, like, okay, well, I don't mess with that. I know that's in the Ten Commandments, don't mess with that. So that's not something that, like, you saw growing up?
Now, even when if I ever heard, like, for example, thou shalt not worship any of the strange gods, and goddesses, I didn't know what that was. No one explained it to me, which was unfortunate, right? I wish I would have known that. I mean, I did go to church on Sundays with my mom and my family, and it was like, but I was never exposed to that. Yeah. Any other questions so far? Okay. Oh, yes.
Actually, this is oddly specific, but going back to Aleister Crowley,
Yeah.
there was that whole group of people. I think the Scientology founder was among them, like that group around Caltech and Manhattan Project. Are they related to like the same like branch of the occult that Crowley had, and is that sort of where your version of the occult came through? Or I'm trying to like understand, like the connections of tradition, for lack of a better word here.
As far as the occult goes, the two people that you mentioned, or one person, I haven't heard of before, so I can't really answer that part. But, I mean, as far as like, boom, that right there, that just tells me right there, don't do it. It's just you got to figure out through, how do you say, your discernment. If one is making themselves a god by doing these things, or not. And that's what I had to say to myself at the second part of the occult. I'm like, am I making myself a god by trying to manifest these things, or getting someone else to manifest it for me? And that was part of my understanding and how I went about it. Yeah. But you know what? Let's talk afterwards. I'd like to know that name because I want to, especially the Caltech thing.
Oh yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. This is really popular. Okay, so what they do. As my girlfriend who was a Reiki master, she was explaining, but I've read elsewhere. What they do is a student who wants to become a Reiki master, teacher or whatever, their instructor is going to have them go through an attunement first. Then there's a level 1 and a level 2. Okay? The attunement, and I hate using this example, but it's the only way I think you guys can get to understand it. On this side of Catholicism, of Christianity, we have baptism, right? The baptism is going to allow the Holy Spirit to come, right? On this side, their priestess instructor is going to call in the Reiki energy and Reiki spirits and infuse it into their student. To me, and most of pretty much of a Christian world that studies spiritual warfare, those are demons that they're infusing into that student, okay? Then they go to their level 1, which is learning how to heal yourself. People that I've talked to that studied and also became Reiki masters, they all have mental health issues. My perspective, they're trying to heal themselves. That's the reason why they did it, why they took these classes. Level 2 is, and depending on which Reiki instructor you talk to, it's level 2 and or 3, it's learning how to heal other people. Okay? And these people do this out there. They have practices. Here's the problem. Imagine a massage table. The patient's going to be on there. The Reiki master is going to draw sigils. Sigils mean signs. I don't think those people really understood what those sigils are. They're actually demonic sigils. So opening up a portal in their soul or their body for the Reiki energy and the Reiki spirits to go in so they can learn how to heal themselves and heal other people. All right? The problem is when they do this and they go out there in the world and start doing this Reiki on other people, the patients, they're in danger because they just now given permission for the demons to come in by the authority of telling the therapist, you can do whatever you want to my body, as far as like this Reiki energy. You know, I tell people, in 2019 when I started helping people, it was weird. It was like the first 3 or 4 people that called me. One of them was my cousin, but their issue of how they let these demons in, it was all Reiki. And I was asking God, I'm like, are you trying to tell me something? You know, I was thinking about my ex also. I was like, she's in danger. Okay, so that's Reiki for now. Hypnosis therapy, I think we all know what that is. Regarded by most people as a spiritual practice. The problem with this is, okay, let me give you an example. Before you go to bed, what do you do? What should you do? Pray. Exactly, you pray.